Hello YouTube, my name is Ben and this is Sparky Hobbies. I wanted to get this up for the Avacyn Restored pre-release. This is going to be an interactive video, so if you're looking from a smartphone or doing something where you don't want to watch a talking head, or you really want to watch a talking head on YouTube, but then you can not follow the following links that I will give you. But this is intended to be a more interactive video. I didn't want to post every single card I wanted to talk about. So the first link that I wanted to give you was a sealed card pool generator. And so what I'd like you to do right now is go to that link, generate my sets. There's a little button that says generate my sets, and you will get a sampling of 6 booster packs that you would get during a pre-release, and the dashes, the red dashes, would be your foil card if you pulled a foil card for that pack. So pause the video right now, do that 3 or 4 times, and get your impressions of the sealed deck as you would do it. And when you've done that, come back. Alright, you're back? Great. Okay. The next link I'd like to give you is the Avacyn Restored gallery card image that's been up for, I'd say, 4 days or so, because I'm going to be talking about it from white all the way down to green, and just starting from the top, but I'm going to talk about pretty specific cards. My impressions from the sealed pool was that there were a couple of different decks that popped out to me. There's the Soulbound deck, which uses the mechanic Soulbound. I think that's a very legitimate. I think there's enough cards at common and uncommon to really make it powerful. And you know, some of the blues get flying and hexproof, and green has like you know, death touch, and so I think there's a lot of area there to work with a Soulbound deck. The other deck that I saw myself building a couple times was the green-blue threat density deck. When I got a lot of good blue flyers and I got a couple of good blue removal spells, and I felt that I could get through for damage, either because I had the green removal spells, and I just wanted creatures with a high power of toughness. For once, you know, I got one of the great wolf spells that gives, when it soul bonds, it gives +4/+4 to each creature. I got that during one of my pools. So looking at the green-blue build, it's almost there's not a lot of removal in blue or in green this set. So it's a threat density deck. You're basically throwing down so many threats that you're hoping your opponent can't deal with it. But that, I think, is a legitimate deck. And black has tons of removal, but it's mostly through discard. So black's going to play, if you can play a powerful demon or a creature and that has power 4, you know, or greater, you could probably race with discard and try to do the tempo advantage. Card advantage deck, where you're just trying to get cards out of their hand and have them pull, you know, pull all their good spells with, you know, Appetite for Brains, or the Mental Agony, which I thought was a great card. I think that's a legitimate strategy in black. I also thought that because I thought that the overall impression that I got from the sealed pool when I did my sealed pool was that you're gonna pull 6 packs, right? 1/5 of those are going to be in the colors that you need, and so you're only gonna end up pulling 2 to 3 removal spells in any color, except for maybe black, because black just has a lot. Red has the next most, but a lot of those are very narrow, or you have to jump through a lot of hoops. So looking at what I was thinking of the set is that, like, I didn't see a lot of hard removals. Basically, creatures that cost, or a creature with power 3 or more, have to be killed with a combat trick, or they have to die to red, and that's it. Like, that's the only removal in the block. And this is going to be only, if you're going to the pre-release, it's only going to be 6 packs of Restored. It's considered a large set, so you're not going to see any Innistrad or Dark Ascension in your sealed pool. This is what you got. So that means that draw removal is a deck, and the Draw removal is basically where you try to draw the removal from their hands. You play a really good creature, they go to remove it from the game, and you bounce it back to your hand, or you flicker it. And in white, you have Cloud Shift to do this. In blue, you have Ghostly Flicker or Figure to do this. Is it Ghostly Flicker or Flicker? Don't know. Restoration Angel, which is a rare, will do it. Green, you can give in green it gives your target creature hexproof. So if they use a direct removal spell on it, you can, basically give it hexproof and make it untargetable, counter target spell upon non-legal target. So the white-blue, possibly flying deck with draw removal, where you're basically going to just save your creatures, is legitimate. One of the cards that I want to talk about in blue would be Peel from Reality. It's return target creature they control and target creature you control, which basically is a really great card because let's say they are going to play a removal spell and play a creature, like during the round of turns. Well, if you return their creature back to their hand and you return the creature back to your hand and they waste a removal spell, you've basically wasted their entire turn for 2 mana, and you've discarded one of their removal spells from their hand. So Peel from Reality is a very powerful card. Do not underestimate it during your pre-release. It's common. You're going to be, from good players, you're going to see quite a bit of that card. But so white-blue draw removal spell is a legitimate strategy, I think. But in general, I think that the cards, there's a very lack of removal, and so if you go to the Avacyn Restored card gallery, if you've done that, I'm going to start with Banish Stroke, and I'm just going to go through all the removal spells in the block and either discount them or talk about them. Starting with Banishing Strike in white. Cost 6, Miracle 1, instant speed, great removal. Very hard removal. If you get it, run it. It's uncommon. Defang, enchant creature removal. Terrible. It's weaker than pacifism. Devoted Chaplain, exile target artifact or enchantment. You have to jump through too many hoops. Divine Deflection. You basically redirect damage equal to X and deals that damage to target creature player. It's rare. You're not going to see it, so don't worry about it. Restoration Angel, great card. It's a rare. Very combat trick removal, but great card. Rare. Not going to see it. Righteous Blow. It's a hard removal for anything that has toughness 2 or less and is attacking or blocking. It's common, you're going to see a lot of it. Combat trick, possibly kill something up to 4 or 5 toughness. So it's a legitimate spell, but still fairly weak for what I would like out of hard removal. Terminus, rare, sorcery speed, cost 6. Not going to see it that often. Zealous Strike, I think, is the most legitimate removal spell in white, just because there is no counter spells that can possibly stop this. So it's going to give some creature in combat +2/+2 and first strike. So it's definitely combat removal. I think it's one of the best removal spells in white. So the only legitimate removal spells in white would be Banishing Strike and Uncommon, Righteous Blow, and Zealous Strike. I mean, those are the only really good hard removal in white. And if you get more than 3 of them in white, you're going to be lucky. Captain of the Mist, removal in blue, rare, not going to see it. Locks 2 mana down perpetually for an Icy Manipulator. Geist Snatch. Counter target creature spell, you get a +1/+1 blue spirit token into play, costs 4. It counters target creature spell. I think it's the most legit removal spell in blue, unfortunately, because Outwit would be my considered next most legitimate blue removal, and it only counters spell that targets a player. It's pretty much really only good in against black, because black's removal is mostly discard. But I still think I don't know, would I mainboard this? I have no idea, but it's very narrow. Second Guess, another instant speed counterspell, even more narrow. Spectral Prison. Well, it'll tap down a creature and keep it tapped. It's an enchantment or a lockdown, but if that creature becomes target spell, you sacrifice Spectral Prison. So it's not even a real lockdown spell, because there's a lot of spells that'll get rid of Spectral Prison. Tamio, the Planeswalker, great card, mythic, probably not going to see it. In black, we have the first card in uncommon, cost 1, sorcery speed, appetite for brains, target opponent reveals as your hand. You choose a card with converted cost, mana cost 4 or greater, and you exile that card. This, I think, is actually very legitimate removal, because most of the things, okay, other than Soulbound, if you're not playing against a Soulbound deck, Appetite for Brains is probably going to get a really good card. So I would definitely play it, don't underestimate it. I played with Barter and Blood. That's the next card on our list several times. It's great. If you have black, run it. Bone Splitters. Pretty narrow. You have to sacrifice a creature to destroy a creature, so it's a 2-for-1. Corpse Traders. So many hoops, it's not even worth talking about. Dark Imposter. Great card, but it's rare. Not going to probably see it. Deathwind. It's terribly expensive, but I would still run it. To be perfectly honest. Descent into Madness. Could it be considered removal? Probably could, but it's Suicide Black. It's going to hurt you too. It's mythic. You're never going to see it. Ghoul Flesh. Another enchantment aura removal. It's a 2-for-1, second main. Otherwise, it's completely weak on a 1-to-1 basis. Grave Exchange. I would still run it. Sorcery Speed. I think it's runnable. Human Frailty only destroys humans, so pretty narrow. Killing Wave, terrible card, rare, not going to see it that often. Mental Agony, I think this is a really great card. Cost 4, target player discards 2 cards and loses 2 life. If you play it on the 4th turn, you're probably going to get a creature and maybe a land or something from your opponent. I do think that it's worthwhile. I would run it. Necrobite, right below it, gives a creature Death Touch and regenerates it, so it's combat removal. Death Touch, I think at instant speed is great. Polluted Dead, if it dies, it's a creature, destroy target land. I don't know how big land destruction would be in this deck, but if you're going to run the black discard deck, I think it's probably runnable just because of the tempo advantage that you would get from basically denying them a land drop if it died. Triumph of Cruelty. I have hoops here. Yep, okay. It's uncommon, but target opponent discards a card during your upkeep as long as you have the creature with greatest power. That's pretty much going to be, white. White has some big creatures, green has some big creatures, black has big creatures, so it's questionable. And the last one in black is Undead Executioner. If it dies, the target creature gets -2, -2, so I guess that's pretty legit. First removal in red is Aggravate. It's pretty costly, can be used as a combat trick for better effect, but not impressed. Bonfire of the Damned is a great and awesome card, but it's mythic rare. Probably not going to see it. Burn at the Stake, you have to jump through many hoops, and it's pretty narrow at 3 red to cast it. It's rare, probably not going to see it. Demolish, destroy target artifact or land. It's common, but is destroying artifact or land going to be prominent in the set? Do not know. Falconwrath Exterminator, a really interesting card. If it does combat damage to a player, it gets a +1/+1. It's really cheap. It's a 1/1 for 2, and it has great creature removal in the sense that you pay 3, and it does damage equal to the number of +1/+1 counters to target creature. So if you can get 2 counters on this guy, he's going to be nasty. That being said, it's really hard to get +1/+1 counters on this guy. You have to get him early. But I think he's a really interesting card. Gang of Devils, divide 3 damage among creatures or players. Cost 6, so pretty late game. But I think it's legit. Guys of Fire, pretty terrible. Enchantment Aura removal, second main, trades 2 for 1. Yeah. Let's see here. Lightning Prowess. Where is that on our Avacyn Restored Gallery. Ah, terrible, terrible card. It does pinging, so that's somewhat useful, but I mean, I've seen better enchantment auras that ping that are 10 years old. The fact that this gives target creature haste does not impress me, because that means it becomes only useful on the 4th turn when you play a 1/1 for 1 and then give it haste. I mean, come on. That's terrible. Thunderbolt. I played with this card several times. Oh, did I miss Pillar of Flames? I did. Pillar of Flame. It's a shock at sorcery speed for 1. It's hard removal. Still, it's inferior to shock almost, so it's only good in this set against black because black has Rage Z effects, but in general, it's a terrible card. But it's going to be a good card in this set. But, you know, it's a good card, run it, but yeah, okay. Rite of Ruin. Rare, not going to see it. It's also somewhat suicidal, but, you know, it's worthwhile. Thunderbolt. It's a card I wanted to talk about. It costs 2. It's a reprint, instant. Does 3 damage to target player or 4 damage to target creature with flying. There's enough flying creatures with toughness 4 or less that I think I'd main this easy. Thunderous Wrath is the best removal spell, I think, in red. It's cost 6, does 5 damage to target creature player, but you can miracle it for 1. I think it's the best removal in red. Tyrant of Discord, costs 7, it's a rare, so yeah, and costs 3 red, so it's both narrow, and you have to jump through some hoops to get it. Vigilante Justice, pretty narrow. You have to play humans. That being said, every creature in red is pretty much a human. Works great with Thatcher Revolt, the sorcery that gives you 3 humans, and then they have haste and you can attack with them. So that's a strategy, and I'd like to talk about that because that's in the end the deck that I think I would like to draw. In green we have Eaten by Spiders, destroy target creature with flying. Green always needs to destroy creatures with flying, so it's pretty legit. Instant speed, uncommon. That being said, one of the other cards on this list I think is better. But the next one in the gallery is Joint Assault. It's weak giant growth unless you have Soulbound, and then it's awesome. But combat removal, we'll take it. Nightshade Peddler does have Death Touch, but it can't be considered straight up hard removal because you know, your opponent's going to see it. Unless you play green-blue with that cards that says that gives creatures flash. Okay, that's the only exception to that rule. Rain of Thorns is better than our other option, which is Natural End, destroy target artifact or enchantment. I think would still run at least one of these, just as destroying an artifact, enchantment, or land in the case of Rain of Thorns, or destroying artifact or enchantment. I think you're probably going to see an uncommon artifact or enchantment in almost every deck. There's some of the equipment are very good with humans and angels, obviously. Some of the enchantments give flying. I think it's runnable as a main deck, is kind of what I'd like to say there. To get through it. Snare of Skies. Target creature gets +1/+1, gains reach, instant speed. I think this is even better than Eaten by Spiders, as it's potentially combat removal and can kill more than just creatures with flying. That being said, I think I'd probably run both if I ran green. Moving on to Artifacts and Other for our removal spells, just to kind of cap on like what you can see for removal. We have the very, very terrible Gallows at Willow Hill, which is rare and is so bad I'm not even going to talk about it. Do not run that card. That being said, Scroll of Grizzleband can be played in any color, and it's freaking awesome because it's instant speed discard, which means that once they run out of cards in hand, it reads almost take another turn, especially if they're not attacking, okay, and they have no creatures. So there's sometimes when this card is take another turn. If you happen to control a demon, it has the perk that player loses 3 life. If I get this card, I'm probably going to run it, to be quite honest. Just for 2, I can make somebody discard instant speed. Or, you know, simply just play it. Yeah, I'm going to run this. The last one is the land that says Slayer's Stronghold. There's also Alchemist Refuse, which you can play non-land cards as though they had flash, which I think is legitimate in green-blue. And this one is target creature gets +2/+0, gains vigilance and haste until end of turn. That being said, I probably would not give a creature vigilance and haste before I attacked. I'd probably attack, wait for blocks, and then kill something, to be quite honest, with Slayer's Stronghold. The deck that I'm really hoping to run is, if we scroll up to black and go to Blood Flow Connoisseur, sacrifice a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Blood Flow Connoisseur, and we look at the card right next to it, Blown Splitters, and then we look down to the red card that's common, that's Thatcher Revolt, put 3 humans into play, they have haste, sacrifice in the mid-turn. I'd really like to play Bloodflow Connoisseur, play Thatcher Revolt, attack with everything, sacrifice the tokens as needed to keep Bloodflow Connoisseur alive, and if they all live or do damage, at the end of turn, I would sacrifice the remaining tokens and pump up Blood Connoisseur. Once she becomes a 4/4, she's going to be hard to deal with the removal on hand. Only white and red and maybe black would be able to deal with it. But I think that red has like a couple of interesting strategies, which is Vigilante Justice would obviously work with Thatcher Revolt. A lot of things depend on humans in red. I also think that we're going to see a very interesting happenstance, which I think people are going to splash red for removal, but you're not going to see red for creatures, which means that the card Errors for Stormkirk is going to be a very interesting card, because I don't think you're going to see creatures in red, which means that you're basically going to have a 2/2 unblockable for 4 that's going to get bigger every turn. So it's really slow, but that being said, I think it's pretty much, if they don't have removal, it's going to be a guaranteed win, because I really doubt that a lot of people are going to be playing red creatures. I really think the good players are going to be, if they play red, it's going to be splash red. They might play a simple red creature to just get a blocker down, or a Soulbound creature down. That's the only other possibility. But in general, I think Errors of Stormkirk could be pretty interesting in this particular sealed pool, and I'd probably run her main board if I got her with the deck I'm looking. So I'm looking at the Bloodfluid Connoisseur Thatcher Revolt, hopefully combo. They're both common, so I'm hoping to get 2 at least of each, and we'll hope for the best. I do hope that you enjoyed the link that I shared with you for the sealed pool card generator. I hope you the best of luck on your pre-release pool. I again think that removal is going to be the weakness of the set, so think about threat density, think about some of the decks that you can build. Remember that removal is going to be very light, so make sure that you have it yourself. And best of luck on the pre-release. If you like this video, thumbs up, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.